Hey everybody, I'm back here with another edition of the show. Well, we got a lot going on. We haven't talked to each other in 3 weeks, and it's just a lot going on. I know everybody saw what's going on at the Capitol, what went down. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna of course talk about COVID, and there's gonna be something very special at the end. So stay tuned. All that coming up next. Hey, everybody. Welcome again to another edition of the Takeover. It's me, your host of the most, all the way coast to coast. I'm better than the butter you put on your French toast, even though I ain't trying to boast. And my name is Marcellus. And Justice, well, he couldn't be with us today. Frankly, I don't know what Justice is doing, but y'all know the show must go on. And we're here. First show of the new year. Hey, that rhymed. But anyway. As usual, let me give you this disclaimer that these are my thoughts. My thoughts are just my thoughts. They're not indicative of the thoughts of anybody else, whether it's Apostle Lonnie W. Brown or Lady Francis Brown or Kingdom Heaven Ministries. They're not their thoughts. So if you don't like something that I say, it's okay. You can just let me know. Feel free. Well, I don't want to be before you long today. I've heard many preachers say that, but I'm serious. But we got to get through some things, and it's a very trying episode. Actually, recording this later than I normally would because I just didn't feel up to recording on my normal day, just with everything that was going on. So, there's a reason I wore this sweatshirt. Just pray for him. But you know what? Then I had to think about that. As bad as 2020 might have been, we still here. We still made it. And we need to praise God for that and think about those things that he did for us. I thought about my sister, Tanika Clemens, who just gave a powerful testimony on New Year's Eve about what she thought was a tragic situation, and it was. But when she thought back on it and she thought about the favor, it gave her a whole new perspective and a peace about it. And that's what we want to make sure that we do. We want to make sure that we not take for granted any things that God has done for us. So let's look at, before we get into it, our intro thoughts are going to come from Psalms 105, verses 1 through 5, if you're following along in the New Living Translation. Of course, I'll put it on the screen for you anyway. But it says, give thanks to the Lord and proclaim his greatness. Let the whole world know what he has done. Sing to him. Yes, sing his praises. Tell everyone about his wonderful deeds. Exalt his holy name. Rejoice, you who worship the Lord. Search the Lord and for his strength. Continually seek him. Remember the wonders he has performed, his miracles, and the rulings he has given. Well, this is imploring us to just think about those things that God has done for us. Now it says to sing to him. I don't know that he was talking to everybody. Y'all know, my favorite group, one of my favorite groups, I ain't gonna say my favorite group, but one of my favorite gospel groups is Commission. Oh, I've been following Commission since I was a little boy. And, whether it's Fred Hammond or Keith Staten or Marvin Sapp or, Mitch and the rest of the guys, I just enjoy the music that they do and the praise and worship. But, I think this group needs to be decommissioned. This is like the off-brand replica version. Y'all gonna see what I'm saying? You see what I mean? I don't know. I guess they got angels watching over them. I mean, it was about six, seven keys. I think it was, I don't know what they were singing. I don't know what key they were singing in, but I tell you what, the band, it wasn't that bad. The band wasn't that bad. That bass player, he was hitting it a little bit. But these singers, that's not what that verse was talking about. That's not who they was telling to sing. That was a joyful noise. That definitely wasn't singing. But anyway, let's jump into these current events real quick. Of course, we're gonna start with our COVID-19 chronicles. Guys, ladies, what have we told you on this show for months? Don't fall for the fallacy of familiarity. You gotta still be careful. These holidays have brought family from all around, and you ain't checking what these family members been doing. They bringing all this stuff from all around with them, right? Some of them are working, some of them are not being diligent on mask wearing and things like that. And I don't care, man. Say what you want to say. Oh, masks don't work. Well, I can tell you what. I can tell you what don't work for sure, and that's catching COVID. So I'm gonna do everything that I can to prevent it. But these numbers are starting to go back up. I know here in Michigan, the governor and her lead doctor have warned us that this holiday season has caused some issues. So we need to pay attention. We need to do what we need to do and quit. Just stop taking it for granted. Stop getting so comfortable and acting like it's no longer here. Over the holiday break, I think my pastor said he attended about 7 or 8 funerals, and I think 4 or 5 of them were due to COVID. Right now, a family in my ministry is fighting COVID, the whole family. So we really gotta just be wise, not fearful, not fearful. See, listen here. Our faith is not in a mask. Our faith is not in gloves. Our faith is not in a questionnaire that you fill out on the way going in a building. Our faith is in God. But God also told us to be wise. Even Jesus wouldn't tempt him. Even Jesus, and when the devil tried to get him to jump off, he said, "Oh, the angels will catch you." And Jesus said, "Yeah, but it's also written, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God." See, this is what we don't want to do. We don't want to do that. So, although our faith is not in that stuff, our faith is in God working through our wisdom that would allow us to, as long as we're acting in good faith, He'll reward us and He'll bless us. That's what our belief is. That's why we stand on Psalms 91, and that's why we do that. But it's not us just being willy nilly and just throwing caution to the wind. That's not what the Lord is looking for. That's not what He's rewarding. So be diligent. And I really wanted to just say that again. Be diligent. Now, obviously, we got vaccination going on, moving to the next stage of distribution. I believe we're in 1B here, which is the second of the 4 stages. We have 2 companies right now that our vaccines have been approved, the Pfizer, of course, and then the Moderna. Now, the Pfizer vaccine is the one that needs to be kept at cryogenic temperatures, which makes it a little bit more difficult to distribute because only certain places have that capability. So it's very interesting. Just, one of my other sisters, Darius, she put on Facebook, "So you taking the vaccine or no? And why?" And you should, the wide range of answers is everything from conspiracy theory, as far as what's in the vaccine, to comparing it to the Tuskegee experiment, to just being scared of needles, to, of course, I'm standing in line waiting, can't wait my turn. It's amazing. Just in her circle of friends, that wide range is there, and no judgment zone, no judgment zone on the vaccinations. Y'all heard my opinion as far as myself, but man, if you want to run up and be the first one, go for it. Do whatever you feel like is the best thing for you and your family. I know there's a third company, AstraZeneca, that has a vaccine over in the UK that hasn't been approved over here yet. My guess is soon it will be. My understanding is it is a little bit easier to produce and maybe even more financially better for the producers of it. So, I don't know. I don't know. But it's here. I know I have people in the medical field that have taken it, at least the first half of it. You got to get a couple of shots, 3 to 4 weeks apart, depending on which brand that you're using. And some have had some side effects, some have not, just like you would expect. Some people have side effects from the flu vaccine, some do not. So it doesn't mean it's good or bad yet. There's been some tragedy as well. Some people have passed away. I don't believe it's been proven it's from the vaccine, but it was definitely after taking it. So there's a lot. Do your research. Um, Try not to research random YouTube sites that look like they were recorded in the basement and it's a robotic voice in the background. Those are probably not uh, good sites. But do your research. Talk to your friends that work that that work in the medical field. Uh, One of my former players has been posting on Facebook just kind of behind the curtains of the medical field as he's operating in that field, and he's been explaining what mRNA vaccines, what they do and how they work, and people that believe they change your DNA and therefore you won't be able to get pregnant. There's a lot of stuff going around, a lot of rumors and conjectures that have been out there for a while now. But it's good to know facts. It's good to know truth. So, um, this vaccine will hopefully stem this situation so that we can return at some point here in the spring to regular life as usual, asterisk, because I don't think we ever get back to where we were. I think there's going to be a lot less handshakes. There's going to be a lot less hugging folks you don't know. Uh, the bro hug where we get the handshake and the half hug. Yeah, a lot of them going to be done. Obviously, people going to get back to hugging their family and friends, but it's going to be a lot more fist bumps, elbows, etc. So I know we spent a lot of time talking about that, but it's important. It's important, and we need to make sure we address it. And then, like I mentioned in the open, we just had an insurrection, domestic terrorism at the U.S. Capitol the other day. And I'm telling you, I almost don't know what to say because it was that utterly ridiculous. And I got people comparing it to protests that happened in Seattle and protests in Portland and Wisconsin. And y'all got to be kidding me. Federal U.S. Capitol building. Senators on the Senate floor. People rushing in, climbing walls, blowing through gates. Some of the gates being opened by the police and letting them in. It was, if I don't, I'm sitting there with my mouth agape. I'm so distraught by it. Um, there are people that lost their lives. One lady in particular is making the rounds on the news. She was a former veteran of the armed services, and we don't want to see anybody lose their lives. But when you are acting so irrationally radical that you think you can do that without repercussion, that's not rational. I don't know if she was suffering from PTSD or anything like that from her service, but my goodness, you watch some of the videos she posted. It's interesting. And now I just read today that they've arrested several more. The guy that was feet propped up on Nancy Pelosi's desk, taking mail off of her desk. That's a federal mail. These are federal crimes. People don't understand. These are not just regular robbing Foot Locker or Best Buy. This is a federal crime. You could potentially do federal time in a federal prison, not a local jail, in a holding cell. Man, that rhymes too. But this is serious. This is serious business. What? Do we think at all before we do stuff? Do we think, or do we follow blindly? You know what? It just reminded me that these terrorists, these rioters, were almost like a cult, following orders from their cult leader. And if you want to sit here and deny that President Donald J. Trump gave orders to those people, you just don't want to look at realism. He literally told them to surround the building. He literally told them this. Don't take this. Do not let this happen. Meanwhile, he walks across to the White House where he has a bird's eye view. And they're blindly rushing in. One lady said, "We're here for a revolution." Yes, she's crying because she got maced. She don't know anything about a revolution. Mace? Is that it? What about when they let dogs out on you? What about when they shoot you? What about when they turn the fire hose on you? What about when they throw tear gas bombs at you? What about when they beat you with billy clubs? Mace? That's it? No, I don't want them to come in shooting. No, nobody wants that. But don't shoot at us either when we protest. Escort us down the stairs by holding our hand. There's a miscarriage of justice that is prevalent, that even senators that argue on both sides saw eye to eye that night. Because they realized in that moment it didn't matter. Those people charging in there didn't care if you was a Republican senator or a Democrat or independent or anybody else. They didn't give 2 cents what your political party was. All they know is they were there for revolution. You tell me. What if that was me? What if I was scaling those walls? What if I ran up there and grabbed that podium? You think I'd be sitting here today? You think I would have made it out? You see, this all comes back down to a single thing that's throughout our history as a country. Those people busted up in there doing that because they thought they could. They believed that they had the right to. And yes, we know we have the right to protest. You don't have the right to go busting in a federal building. See, I know some people that went down to the Capitol to protest Flint having a water crisis and lead in the water and nobody doing anything about it. And they went into the Capitol peacefully and got quickly escorted out the building. Quickly. Do not pass go and get out. But these people come in here rambunctious, armed, hanging nooses. See, they didn't show you all those pictures. They didn't show you the nooses. People talking about, oh no, it's about politics. No, did you see the noose hanging up? Did you see that? What do you think that means? Why are they carrying Confederate battle flags in there? When the guy who created the Confederate flag let you know exactly what it was about. Nah, this wasn't just about politics. This wasn't just about a vote. This was about supremacy. We'll show you. We'll go rush the Capitol. They'll listen to us. They must. It's sad.
I want y'all to stop lying to yourselves.
Boom.
Okay? Now we know what it is. Now we said Black Lives Matter. What y'all say? Blue Lives Matter. That's what y'all said. Y'all said protect back the blue. Law and order. Y'all said it was about Blue Lives Matter. And then what y'all did? Y'all ran right through them police. Okay, y'all busted the windows out the wall. Y'all climbed through windows. Y'all got a Capitol officer killed. And all I want to say is, let's not stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne. We know y'all be lying. Okay? Y'all said it was about decency and order, comply, peacefully protest. When black people was out there protesting police brutality, y'all said we got to peacefully protest. That's all we want. And then y'all committed an act of domestic terrorism and breached our own Capitol building, all on CNN, admitting to felonies. Y'all had Elizabeth from Knoxville, Tennessee, admitting to breaking into the Capitol and being surprised that they got her. And then when they got in, Angel, you know what they did, Angel?
They were taking
photos everywhere. Angel, they doo-doo on the ground and threw doo-doo everywhere. Did y'all see this article?
Bro, that is the most bro, they smeared the doo-doo on the walls.
Smeared doo-doo on the wall, Angel. Not of the local Target in Minnesota. They stormed the nation's capital, busted through. There's videos of police officers letting them in the gates, waving them in, helping white women down the steps.
Oh, yes. They said, don't trip.
Taking selfies with the protesters. And they got in there. They put their feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
Bro, they snitched on
They
themselves.
looted the podium. They took pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
What y'all got to say now? What y'all got to say?
But I promise you, I'm gonna come back to that a little later. But we got to move on because there's so many things about it. You can go in and out, around and back, and I don't want to get bogged down there because we got to get to what we're talking about today. And sometimes in the beginning of a new year, we kind of find ourselves running one area to the next just because we're told to or because others are doing it. We kind of following the crowd. One thing is certain, though. If you've given your life to Christ, you are a new person, created for good works, no matter what is going on around you, right? So no matter what happened at the Capitol or anywhere else, if you're have given your life to Christ, you're a new creature, right? And this new year, your life can make a difference. I talked about Tanika's testimony. It made a difference. I had people texting me, telling me that her testimony allowed them to see things in a different way. Your life can make a difference. You have a testimony you probably haven't even thought about. But see, if you follow the crowd, it'll be difficult for you to live that kind of life that makes a difference. God's desire is that we will be bold enough and allow the way we live to make a difference that lasts for eternity in someone's life. Some people make New Year's resolutions, and there's nothing wrong with that, as long as they're made with true kingdom resolve. And that's what we're talking about, 2021 resolve. What is that? What is resolve? What is kingdom resolve? Well, we're going to go to our spiritual dictionary, words in different light. Hold on, I need some water. I need some water. Your boy, he talking a lot, you know. Y'all forgive me. Y'all forgive me. I think it just spilled some on my sweatshirt. It's just water. But anyway, kingdom resolve is demonstrating resilience, elasticity, steadfastness, obedience, loyalty, vigilance, and endurance. Resilience, elasticity, flexibility, steadfastness, obedience, loyalty. So you're going to be committed. You're going to do the will of the authorities in your life. You're going to remain vigilant to that. You're going to not let it go until you complete the task. And you're going to last until the end. Endure. You're going to run a complete race. That's what resolve is all about. That's what our resolutions need to be about. They need to fit that. We used to talk about goals at work and making SMART goals, right? Goals that are measurable and attainable and all that jazz that they kick to us. But these are our resolutions. This is the same thing for our resolutions. Our resolutions need to have this type of resolve. They need to be resilient. They need to be elastic. They need to be steadfast. They need to be obedient. They need to be loyal. They need to be vigilant, and they need to endure, or we need not make them, right? Definition says resolve is the determination required to secure your commitment to the association, the assignment, and activity required for the expansion and advancement of the kingdom of God and for experiencing and enjoying the kingdom lifestyle. Now, think about that. Think about that. Determination required, because you have to be bold and almost hard-headed in your resolve and your commitment to the assignment that you've been given. See, we all have got different assignments. This show is part of my assignment. It didn't start out that way. This was just something to do during the shutdown, but then it turned into something totally different. And I realized that this is a part of the assignment. This is how you reach people, and you can do it without being around them, socially distant. We can reach them through the computers that we all have to, and through the phones that we have to look at more. So we have to be committed to whatever it takes to do that assignment and whatever activity is required for that, so that we can help expand the kingdom. And that's what this resolution is all about. This is what our goals should be about. Yeah, I need to lose some weight. I know that. I don't need to make a resolution about that. I don't need to be the January guy in the gym. Need to be the January through December guy in the gym, right? But you know how the resolutions are. You know, you make your New Year's resolution, you get in that gym the first 2 weeks of January, then by the third week of January, you back at home. And then the people that regularly frequent the gym, they happy because you ain't in their way no more. You know, so I don't need a resolution for that. I need to just do that, right? I know what I need to do. You just do it. Our resolutions need to be eternal. They need to speak to eternal things. Okay? There's 3 laws associated with resolve: decide, to settle; determine, to seal; and or to deny, submit. And we're talking about denial of self. See that? Deny yourself. Take up your cross and follow me. That's what Jesus wanted the disciples to resolve to do. And that's what we got to do. Deny ourselves, completely submit to that assignment, completely decide, make a decision. You rule out all of the choices when you make a decision, right? And seal it with that determination, because that's required. Now, I did look on dictionary.com because I did an honor of justice. That's his thing, you know, but I did look at it. I found it very interesting. It said resolve was a firm determination to do something. And I thought that was good. A firm determination to do something. Our resolve. That's what we resolve to do. That's what our resolutions are about. Let's look at Ephesians chapter 4, verses 20 through 24. We're going to look at that here in a second. But if you don't have a relationship with God, because I talked about if you do have a relationship with God in the new year, you're a new creature. But if you don't have a relationship with God and we're in the new year, this is the perfect opportunity to do something meaningful and choose to live a life devoted to Christ. Why do you want to do that? So you can have the right resolve. You can have a righteous resolve. But you got to get a life that's devoted to Christ in order to do that. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 20 through 24. Check this out. But that isn't what you learned about Christ, it says. Since you have heard about Jesus and have learned the truth that comes from him, throw off your old sinful nature and your former way of life, which is corrupted by lust and deception. Instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy. Right? See, this is the way. In this passage, Apostle Paul is speaking to the church at Ephesus. Y'all know, I go to Paul a lot. But he's reminding them of the way they should conduct themselves, how they should live as followers of Jesus, right? Paul is telling the Ephesian church that they need to not be like those who rejected Christ and walked in the ways of the world. And see, if you look at the verses just prior to this, if you step up a few verses, he let them know that those people are darkened in their understanding. So we don't want to be like them, right? Because they have ignorance in their heart. That's what Paul is telling them. So he's telling them, don't be like them. Not only that, but he's telling you that they have actually darkened their hearts towards God. And we definitely don't want to do like that. See, that's what happens when you reject Christ. You darken your heart towards God. How can you not? if you're rejecting Christ? How can you not darken your heart towards God? See, people who live for themselves and don't really take any consideration as to how God plays a role in their life have rejected God. See, when we keep God out of certain portions of our life, we're telling them, nah, you don't belong here. We're rejecting him. God is saying, I want to be in every part. I want to be in all you do. And we're saying, no, God, you don't belong here. You got to go. We're rejecting him. See, at that point, it doesn't matter what resolution you set. How strong your resolve is, you done messed up, right? Let's keep going. Let's keep looking at it. What else does it say in verse 25 now? We're going to look at 25 to 29. It says, so stop telling lies. Let us tell our neighbors the truth, for we are all parts of the same body. And don't sin by letting anger control you. Don't let the sun go down while you're still angry. The King James Version says, be angry and sin not. And I always tell people, God never told you we're not going to get angry. We don't let anger control us and cause us to sin. See, that's what verse 27 says, for anger gives a foothold to the devil. If you are a thief, quit stealing. Instead, use your hands for good hard work and then give generously to others in need. So just stop. Don't use foul, this gonna hurt somebody. Don't use foul or abusive language. Ain't the Bible said that? I didn't know the Bible said nothing about cussing. I mean, is cussing foul or abusive language? It ain't the only foul or abusive language, but it fits. I'm just saying. I didn't write it. Paul did. Don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. That's why you can't just say anything, because you need your words to be encouraging. I mentioned, again, the testimony that we got. Our words need to be encouraging. When she told me about it before New Year's, I said, oh, you got to tell this. People need to hear this. So when I was tasked with putting together the New Year's virtual service, I said, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. We're going to have a captive audience and they need to hear it. And because why? Because they can be an encouragement to people that are going through similar situations. Or even if the situation itself is not similar, they can look at it and say, man, am I looking back on the things that God has actually done for me and taking them for granted? Am I doing that? So that's why we can't just say anything. Our social media can't be full of just nonsense and abusive language and stuff because people are watching. How are you going to then minister to somebody? Doesn't work as well. But then you got to go back and deal with the stuff that you said because they're going to ask, well, hold on. Didn't I just see you on your page the other day? You know what I'm saying? Cussing, drinking, smoking. And now you all talking about God. That don't go together. No, we're not perfect. No, we're not perfect. But when you put that stuff on your social media, you're condoning. I mean, you're basically saying this is okay. And if you want to do it, you're an adult, hey, you meet God on whatever level you need to meet God. But once you put it out there, people are going to take that as if you're saying it's okay for anybody in your position to do. So you just got to keep it in mind. Keep that in mind, especially if you're in a position of leadership. But Paul is encouraging that church and us to be new and true. That's what I call it. You're to put off your old self and put on your new self, just like Mr. Rogers when he came on the show. You know, he came in, took off the jacket, threw on the sweater. You know what I'm saying? Taking off the outside Fred and putting on the inside Fred, right? Sin no longer controls you. You know, I just thought about him flipping that shoe over when he was changing. But anyway, when we allow God to renew the spirit of our minds and put on the new person that Christ has made you, then we can begin to live that life. Only then, right? God made us with the same characteristics that he has. Oh boy, that ought to give you a little flutter in your chest. God made us with the same characteristics that he has. We little G's, little G guys. God is loving, compassionate, gracious, full of mercy, joyful. That means he made us with those same things inside. See, the old sinful stuff, the old sinful nature that we were born with before we became born again, that's no longer who we are. And again, if you haven't committed to your life to God, this is the year. This is the time. Nothing really changes until we become new. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Nothing changes until it becomes new. I mean, think about it. You can put makeup, eyelashes, lipstick, uh, clothes on a pig, and it's still a pig. It doesn't matter how many coats of makeup you put on that pig. You heard the old euphemism, lipstick on a pig, because it doesn't matter what you put on it. It doesn't become something it's not. It doesn't change until we become new. We don't change truly until we become new. No matter how much new clothes we got, no matter how much makeup we put on, no matter how much our car costs, no matter how much our house is worth. If we don't change, we still haven't become new. We just a richer version of our old self. So nothing will change about the true essence of that thing until it changes its nature. Until your nature changes, your true essence does not change. So listen, we don't have to be perfect to be an encouragement, like Paul said. And our bodies definitely don't have to be the perfect shape, because I'd be in trouble. I'd be in trouble. If we needed to be perfect and in a perfect shape, I'd be in trouble. I wouldn't be much of an encouragement. But we just need a righteous resolve. That's what we need. A righteous resolve. We need a resolve to be different. You are a new person in Christ. I said it many times. But as the new year starts, sometimes we need a reminder. We need a reminder that it's just not about getting out of 2020 and COVID, because we're still dealing with that in 2021. We just need to be a reminder that we're new creatures in Christ. I know that you know it, but maybe you find yourself in between your faith, right? And living like the rest of the world because you haven't been attending church regularly, because we haven't been there. The building's been closed, so you haven't been. And so you've let yourself, fall somewhere in between your faith. But for those who might not know what it means to have a relationship with Christ, this is, again, the perfect time to start fresh and live for God. God doesn't desire us to make resolutions about the things we can change about yourself this upcoming year. I said that earlier. God doesn't, his desire is not for me to make a resolution to lose weight. He wants me to be healthy. But his desire is not about that, because I can do that. I can change that about myself. I already know that. God's desire is that we live for him, put on our new selves, and live a life that can make a difference in the world around us. That's what he wants for us. That's what he wants. I know. I get it. Life makes it hard sometimes. I get that. The climate that we're in with COVID and the civil unrest that we're part of as members of this country is enough to give any of us pause. Any of us. Keeping our focus is difficult at times and sometimes seemingly impossible. We need to have the faith to keep pushing and pushing through, as that is what can fuel us. Our faith is what will fuel us. We have to stand in his will. Oh, I'm reminded of a song, a Men of Standard. They wrote a song, I'm staying in your will. And it's just a simple resolve. Lord, I'm staying in your will. I made a vow to you, Lord. They told the Lord, I promise you, I ain't going nowhere. And that's what God wants us. Let's stand, let's stay, and let's stand in his will. Not on it, stand in it. We need to be in the will of God, right? That simple resolution is one we can make. Why don't we all make that resolution today as you watch this program? I'm staying in your will. Not Marcellus's will, but God's will. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 15, as we get ready to wrap this up, 1 Corinthians 15:58, it says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. And that was the King James Version, because I like it. And that song I mentioned, they quote this scripture as well. I will be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. See, it may seem useless at times when you hit that opposition, but just keep that resolve of staying in his will. Let your faith guide you. See, I go back to the three Hebrew boys, and I talk about them several times on this show, but they had the resolve of their faith. They resolved to stay in the will of God, regardless if the king was going to throw them in that furnace. They said, we're still not going to bow because we believe our God is going to save us. But here's the key. But if not, we still believe. And that's the way we got. See, we didn't know COVID was coming, and it hit us all kind of different ways. And I know it messed us up a little bit. And we believe, we had preachers and prophets telling us it was going to be gone in 2 weeks. It was going to be gone by the summer. But if not, do we still believe? That's the question. Stay in his will. Let's stay in his will. And then, as we get ready to go, as we get ready to close, I'm getting ready to close. Pray for me, y'all. This is, again, pray for justice as well. We're touching on some things this new year. We got plans to really branch out and talk about some things that we don't normally talk about in church. Sex trafficking, runaway teenagers, runaway children, things of that nature, things that you just don't hear about in the church. And we want to get some experts on the subject, and we just want to talk about it, man. People that have dealt with or are dealing with things themselves. So pray for us. We're gonna really get into some very deep things and sensitive topics. So we want to definitely keep us in prayer so that we deal with those mindfully. And of course, like this video, hit that thumbs up, like it, do it now. It doesn't, you know what? It doesn't cost you anything, not 1 red cent. Hit that like button and share. Sharing is caring. So share it with somebody. Share it on your social media. Share it on your Facebook, Twitter, every other page that you got. Share it in somebody's text. Just send it to them and say, hey, for the new year. All right. And then subscribe. Obviously, if you subscribe, you'll know, and you hit your notification bell, you'll know when these videos pop up. So you'll be ready to go at every new video. Hopefully, we're planning on, with the channel itself, we're planning on having more content, different type of shows, different just content from other members of our ministry, and just really branching out, doing some different things. And so just keep abreast, keep looking. And if you got any questions or comments, concerns, you can reach us at khmsocialmedia@gmail.com, or you can just leave a comment below the video, and I'll see it. Now, I said we was getting ready to close, and I promised that to be true. But before we do, I have to admit that this podcast was a little difficult for me. And we're going to close a little bit differently. We talked earlier about the riots and everything that went down in D.C., and it's really been eating at me. I got to tell you, it's really been, I just been really searching in my mind, researching in my heart, researching, some facts as well. Losing sleep to a certain degree. It's just been uneasy, right? Just not being myself, because I'm just, so much going on and so many thoughts going on. You watching what seems like a game, except it's not. It's not. This is not Jumanji, where we inside of the game and we got to use our game skills. See, our game skills aren't the key, because that doesn't work. History has shown that. But faith, even though it's hard to hold on to at times, is the key to this nation getting past this. This nation has to get back to faith. See, what stuck to me throughout this is no matter how much things change, they still yet remain the same. And so I did what I what I do when my emotions get to that point and they build. We talked about that during our anger episode. What do you do when things build up and you feel that pressure build up inside of you? Well, I write, and I wrote my thoughts down. And again, I'm gonna ask you to bear with me. This is first time I'm reading this. I mean, I haven't even read it to myself. You know what I'm saying? This is the first time I'm reading it out loud. I mean, I wrote it, and I should show you a picture of the paper that I literally wrote it. I didn't go straight to my computer. I wanted to write, and just for some reason I felt like them words got straight from my brain through my hand when I did that. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and try it. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a go. I want you to be the first to hear it, because I want you to know that I don't come before you as a perfect person. I don't come before you claiming to have everything figured out. And sometimes I have emotions in my head as well. So I titled this "The Prize of Democracy." The prize of democracy. Motionless. Well, except for my jaw dropping to the floor at these acts of terrorism from right inside the U.S. Capitol's doors. Encouraged, empowered, and emboldened by the one sworn in to protect the rich and the poor, all because he was sore over losing a race despite never even believing the score. Counting votes from a college that can choose to ignore the voice of the people at its very core, no matter who they filled in the box on their ballot for. No way anyone saw this was in store, left or right, as more and more the fabric of democracy tore away from the land of the free that is supposedly both mine and yours. Just numb. It unfolds like a movie to me that is hard to see. Here in my country, 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, right? When just off sight, the sitting U.S. president watches in delight the plight of those he directed to surround that building and fight by bringing proven false accusations and conjectures to light, hoping they might persuade or scare congressmen and women to take another bite out of the election process by making claims with sources that not even Wikipedia would cite. Taking a last-ditch flyer like a kite in the wind, seeking to reach unprecedented heights. It's a frozen moment. Feeling like nothing is making sense, but yet it all does. A situation so intense and seemingly so different, but somehow so much the same as it always was. See, real United States of America history is right under our collective nose, though I suppose many only know the one they rewrote in the prose of our social studies books, where people chose to pose with slavery like a bed of roses in a covert attempt to hide all of his woes, while simultaneously closing the focus on the wealth of a nation that flowed through all of the cotton fields rose. What? You don't believe me? That's understandable, you see, due to us being shown a man as a hero who freed us from the grips of slavery, without showing us that in the very same key of the freedom song that was emancipation proclaiming, he gave reparations to masters and not the slaves. I mean, since they're the ones who lost their human property, and because we still had to have every knee bow to supremacy. It should be no surprise to see white terrorists and rioters treated differently by the police. That's what the demand of supremacy entails. That is, a new confederacy guarding the grip of the money that comes with control of the governing bodies. Republicans and Democrats have switched roles several times in history, but we shouldn't be shocked to see men and women attacking both of them at their leaders charged to keep their dominance free from captivity. Police standing down or even in retreat, then taking selfies and holding their hands down the stairs to the street. A similar one where just 7 months ago he sent troops in riot gear to beat back peaceful black protesters so he could hold a Bible upside down to promise the law and order he would keep. Yet talked about loving these thugs taking over a federal building, sitting in senators' seats. and we want to still argue and debate what it all means? Let me tell you again. You cannot change a car with a busted engine by painting the outside. You cannot alter a country inside unless the people that reside correct the habits by which they abide. Laws may have changed the wording that the citizens' actions wore. However, they changed nothing about their beliefs at their core. Things will stay the same with a fresh coat of paint until we the people get real about what is and what ain't, about the need for a change that only God can orchestrate. But even when it seems hopeless and all is lost, when we stand together, we can lessen the cost of lives and truly start to rise to a kingdom lifestyle, overcoming our premature demise. Faith is the energy we need to rise, and that makes real democracy the end prize. God bless you all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining me this week. Until we meet again, God bless you. Stay safe. Mask up. Love you.